Alright, real quick, I'm going to start erasing this thing. I forgot to say that at the end of the class. So why don't you take a screenshot of this thing right now. So hold down the command button, the button right above the 6 key, and then that will take a screenshot. You can do this, and that way you don't have to take all these notes. Got it? I'm going to give you 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Alright, I'm erasing. If you didn't get it, tough. Watch the archives, the YouTube videos, or whatever. Alright, let's take a look at these guys. And you know what? The main thing I'm going to look at now is these graphs. So, let's do them. What we want to do is we want to match up the possible slopes with the graph. So we're looking at line 1. What would you say that slope is? How can you tell? How can you figure that out? Or maybe I'll do the first one for you. Okay? The way you figure out the slope of line 1, and you see this one's line 1 over here, is you start at a point over here. You start at any point. I like starting at this point right here because it's easy to read. That point is 0, 1. Are we cool? Because you got to read the x position first, and then the y position. Alright, now you choose another point, any point you want on this line. Usually you want to choose something to the right of it. And that point is 4, 5. Alright? 4, 5. So these are my 2 points. Point 1, point 2. Then what is my rise? How high did I have to go up to start at this point and get to this point? I had to go 4, exactly. It's just 5 minus 1. 4. What is my run? How far across did I go? 4. Right, because that's 4 minus 0. So 4 over 4 is the same as 1. Your slope for line 1 is 1. The answer here is 1. Does that make sense? Are we happy with that? I mean, and if you look at this, you start at 1 over here. You start at this point over here. If you want to get to the next point, you can go 1 up, 1 across. Because that would be your slope. It would be 1 over 1. 1 up, 1 across would get you to this point right here. 1 up, 1 across would get you to this point. 1 up, 1 across would get to that point. Alyssa, what are you saying? Wait, what? Am I not making sense? Oh, you just put the number 1. That's all you got to do. No, it's actually giving you the possible answers. You can use these as answers. And you just write down one of those answers. So the answer for number 1 is the number 1. So lines technically mean slope? No. A slope is a characteristic of a line. If you have a line, one of its properties is going to be its slope. The other property that will be of a line is, I would say, a point. If you want to define a line, you would need 2 pieces of information. You would either need 2 separate points on that line, or you would need a slope, which is a characteristic of that line, and 1 point. If you can give me 1 point and its slope, I can tell you exactly what that line is. Does that make sense to you? Did I answer your question? Alright. Let's look at line 4 real quick. I'm just wondering. Actually, you know what? I don't want to give that one away. Actually, yeah, let's do it. Let's look at line 4. Okay? Name for me 1 point on that line. Choose a point on that line and name it for me. Tell me exactly what the point is. What are the coordinates of that point? You guys need help? If you need help, say need help or IDK. 4, 0. I agree. Yes. 4, 0. All right. Give me another point. Say any point that's on that line. It doesn't. It can be below it or above it. It's what's another point? 4, 1. Awesome. All right. This is point 1. This is point 2. It doesn't really matter which one it is, but as long as we keep it in order. This is point 1. This is point 2. All right. What is the rise? So my slope equals rise over run. I want to figure out what the rise is. How high up do I need to get to go point 1 to point 2 if I start at point 1? I have to go 1 up. I agree. What's my run in this case? 0. Can I divide a number by 0? I guess the question is asking, how many times can I fit the number 0 in the number 1? Actually, Alicia, I would say you're wrong. You're exactly opposite of wrong. The answer is infinity. You can put infinitely amounts of 0 into the number 1. It's kind of like if I'm going to fill up a cup of water, if I were to ask you how many drops can I put inside of this water, you can tell me how many drops you can put inside to fill up this cup. But then I say, well, if I fill it up with 0 drops of water, how many times can I do that? And the answer is, well, you can do that as many times as you want, and you'll keep on going for infinity because you're never going to fill up the water. So the answer is no slope. Or infinite slope. But I think the option they gave you is no slope. So for number 4, you write the words no slope. And that would be one of the choices. We good? You happy? Sad? Come on, you guys. Talk to me. Travis, I haven't heard from you in a long time. There we go. Give me some happy faces. Awesome. Why don't we record a little bit more and then we'll move on. All right, and then we're actually done. We don't have enough time. All right, let's see. Here's what we got. All right. In many cases, identifying the slope is very easy. If you can identify the change in output over the one input unit moving from the smaller input values to the next larger one on the number line, that is your slope. But sometimes he will not give you an input or output pairs that is 1 unit apart. Suppose you're given the following information. Okay. Let me erase this. So what they're doing is they're giving us a little table. All right. So there's 2 different ways to get to your slope. Basically, you choose 2 points. Instead of reading their thing, I'm just gonna do the problem. So let's do problem number 2. Okay. Use method 2 to determine. Oh, I see what they're doing. Let's use method 2. We use method 2 to compute the slope of x equals 0.35 and 0.36. Okay, so what are our 2 points? We have 0.35 for x, and that corresponds with a y value of what? Starts with a tree, ends with 100, 300. I'm starting to answer for you because you guys aren't responding to me in time. Come on, folks, start talking to me. The next point we want to choose is 0.36, comma what? $350. Awesome. All right. So you want to figure out the slope. Now notice what they wrote. They wrote this delta y divided by delta x. This is the Greek letter delta. Is any of you guys interested in joining a sorority or fraternity when you get to college? I was in a fraternity. I was in the fraternity Alpha, Gamma, Omega. AGO. Anyway, all it is the Greek letter. It's the Greek letter D, delta. So, this delta, all it means is change in. Remember what I was telling you guys about like the rise over run? How high up did it go? You go where it's ended and do where it started. Anyway, who's that? Somebody says, so the slope is 50 over 0.1. That's exactly it. You got to my answer before I was even able to get there. The change in height is this 350 minus the 300, so that would be 50. Your change in distance is 0.36 minus 0.35, so I would say it's 0.01. So use your calculator. What is 50 divided by 0.01? Or actually, all you got to do is just kind of move this decimal place 2 times over. And so you have m equals 5,000. Oh, yes, I would agree. You could put 5,000, or you could put 5,000 over 1. It's the same thing. I would just put 5,000. Does that make sense to you? Do you guys see that? And this is what I want you to write for number 2. This is exactly what I want you to write. So I did the problem for you. All you got to do now is do 3, 4, and a few more. Alright? Looks like we're out of time, folks, but I hope that you understand this. How did I get 5,000? Okay, well, Kaylin, type into your calculator 50 divided by 0.01. There we go. It was Cougar. All I saw was a COU. Sorry. Yeah, it's just 50 divided by 0.01. Since we have extra time, I can tell you guys the cheater's way that I'm thinking about it. Instead of thinking about 0.01, I always think of this as 10 to the negative 3. No, it's 10 to the negative 3. 0.01. That's 50 divided by 1 times 10 to the negative 2. And then when you're dividing by 10 to the negative 2, you actually take this decimal and you move them twice this way. So you have 50, a point, and you move them twice, and you have 0, 0, and a decimal over here. That's 5,000. That's the more complicated way of thinking about it, but I kind of did that math in my head when I was doing it. But anyway, yes, you can put it into your calculator, and you go 50 divided by 0.01, and you get 5,000. Or if you think about it, how many times can 1 cent go into $50? 5,000 times. Anyway, talk to you later. See ya!